Imela, 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 Okata, Imela, Shineke, Imela, Onyomaewo, Imela, 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 Okata, Imela, Shineke, Namo, Imela, Onyomaewo. What a mighty God we serve. What a mighty God we serve. Hallelujah. Heaven and earth adore Him. Angels bow before Him. What a mighty God we serve. What a mighty God we serve. What a mighty God we serve. He's the Lord of Lords. Heaven and earth adore Him. Angels bow before Him. What a mighty God we serve. Amen. Amen. Blessings and glory. And glory, wisdom, thanksgiving. And honor. Be unto our Lord forever and ever. Amen. Praise the Lord.
Hallelujah.
Let's have our seats.
Yeah, maybe you should come in front so that we can have a compact and just discuss as a group. Yeah, again, we want to welcome us to another meeting, of Bezata Couples Fellowship and Ministry. We thank God for today. I know it. We are on sixth session on this marriage course. Like we all know, this is actually to help us, see the patterns of relationship, between a husband and wife, or people who are about to get married, or even in day-to-day relationship with people. There are principles that we can also learn from this course. But this particular session deals with the very important subject of sex. And we all agree as Christians that God made them male and female. So certainly we are no longer in dispute about the role of a man and a woman in this world. That God put them there so that they can know each other, they can make love to each other, and then bring forth, children. That is what God designed and put in place. But He gave us the rules of it, that it has to be a man and his wife. So in this session, we've been looking at how we can maximize that gift of married sex. That's what we call it, married sex. Because any sex outside marriage is an abuse. It's a misuse. It's against the commandments of God. And that has brought the world a lot of problems. I'm sure we'll all agree with that. So we began to see that if a man and his wife do not take time to know how they can use this tool or this gift, they will run into very serious problems. And so that's what we're learning in this session. And to refresh our minds, the last time we met, we watched part of this video on good sex. And we looked at, 6 qualities of great lovers, which I just want to run through. If you remember, we talked about that if we really want to, as husband and wife, to enjoy this gift, we must be able to talk to each other. We must be able to communicate, all right? We must know each other's body, how it works, each other's feelings, all right? How it happens, and the rest of it. I didn't say I was going to give every one of us a photocopy of a very important material that talks about uniquely male and uniquely female. That write-up helps us to understand who a male is, physiologically, emotionally, all right, and physically, and also who the woman is, all right, physiologically, emotionally, and physically. Because that helps us to understand how our body works for each of these gender. The Bible teaches that they should not defraud each other. 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 5. So that means that it's like a duty. It's like, if you like, meeting each other's need. That sex is part of a man and a woman's need, but it should be within the context of marriage, because it's special. So communication, we looked at it very well and said we should be able to talk to each other on things that make us enjoy it and how to enjoy it. Then secondly, we talked about the importance of tenderness. And we gave a series of examples here. How, generally speaking, touch and a gentle touch promotes good sex, right? Whether it is even the man or the woman, but especially the woman. She wants to be cuddled, she wants to be told that she's loved by the husband, and that she's, what matters to him. The same way too, I see that the women are more expressive than men. They can easily hug their husbands. Some husbands even run away. They kiss them. They try to show them affection. That's actually what it is. And these touches, when done properly, promotes good sex. So we saw the importance of tenderness. We also looked at responsiveness. And response means that the two people must be involved. It shouldn't be just one direction. We cited an example of a very fine couple. One wouldn't have thought that there was any problem in their life. But the man spoke to my wife and I and said, my wife never gets involved. My wife says to me, whenever you're done, cover me. And he has done that, she has done that for a long time, and he is no longer enjoying the whole thing, and he wanted to sue for divorce. And we thought that maybe he himself has not yet found out what makes the woman that way. Could it be she's not in the mood, she's tired, and the man is insensitive to the fact that there are many factors that will contribute to her involvement, her responsiveness. The same thing also with some men who are workaholics and probably will not know that, who may not be exercising and they have become too fat, and a lot of things are going on and are wrong that will not promote, responsiveness. And we know of a woman who said, even when I walk stark naked before my man, it does not bother. That marriage broke down completely. In fact, the lady had to marry someone else, travel to the US. So these things are quite serious. So it's not as if we're just talking them for talking's sake. These are realities we have seen happen in the lives of many couples. They didn't think that this area is an area they need to work hard. when you are about to get married, it looks easy. It looks like, you can get on with it without problems. But when you get into marriage, 1 year, 2 years, start having children, a lot of things change. A lot of things change. And we need to know that it is important that we work at it. Then we talked about the importance of romance. Things like remembering each other's birthday or finding out exactly what makes your partner feel loved. We said it shouldn't cost money. It could be a holiday. Leaving your house to a different place. We were watching one, Johnson, and the family wanted to go to Ghana for holiday. But the man said he didn't have money. And they were going to go to somewhere, one of these resorts in Nigeria. Yeah. Hey, the whole family. They were so disappointed. Say, why were they preparing? And they don't know that the man pocket. That the thing will affect his pocket to buy flight tickets for a family of almost total 6, including the man and the wife. So, but what we're saying is that two people can work out to change, create a romance in their marriage. Do things that would have a change. When we're getting older, it becomes a little bit more difficult. Like people like us, then more so because of our African background, we are not very much brought up in the way of saying nice things. I listened to a clip where a preacher was saying that those who are calling their spouses pet names, and they are saying that what the woman should be calling the man is his king. And that thing, it went viral. I was just laughing at it. That thing we looked at was also the importance of anticipation. When you look forward to something, you are likely to enjoy it than when you are not looking forward to it. When you are hungry and you are looking forward to eating a special kind of meal, when you eat that food, you certainly will express satisfaction than somebody who, I'm just eating because I want to eat, not because I was thinking about it. So it's also sex. I remember many years a preacher said, look, if you want to really enjoy sex with your spouse, begin from the morning. All right? Say nice things to each other. It looked mechanical. Do nice things. Don't get your spouse angry before leaving the house. And then you expect that 10 p.m. will be okay. No, it doesn't work that way. You have problems. So we should prepare one another in anticipation to truly make love with each other. But then there are some ways that are acceptable, and I think what I would call dissent. But it behoves the two people to discuss what is decent to them, all right? And not just borrow whatever we read from literature, and things like that. So we then talked about a few very important things also that, we are not highlighted as the 6 important ways of, being great lovers. We talked about the effect of pornography today, all right, in the life of married people. And I think it was really very beneficial because we shared perspectives. All over the world now, they are trying to legalize these things such a way that people could buy them. Even churches are ordaining gay priests, all right, and things like that. And they are imposing it on a lot of countries. Of course, they tried Nigeria when we signed the anti-gay bill, Jonathan Stein. They said they will pull it down, and actually they tried very much. They contributed to, his failure in the last election. That was true. Obama, I must mention, and his team, they were all part of it because they threatened him in a lot of ways that they will stop AIDS. If you remember, the then Senate president said, "To hell with your AIDS." Nigeria was not interested, and our custom, our tradition there does not allow male to marry male. Things like that. So we then discussed that if we find ourselves as married people, being overwhelmed by any of those practices, then we need to seek God's face, all right, and pray earnestly, possibly with fasting, so that we can get over it. Because I know a few people who have confided in us about, some of the things that some men, some husbands do, and which they are not particularly happy with. But it takes courage and confidence for them to share that with you, so that you could help talk to their husbands or spouses. It's common with the men, generally speaking, and not. But we also have at least one or two examples of where some ladies have actually been perverted in a way. For example, they took an oath of celibacy when they were growing up. But at the end of the day, when they got born again, they changed their mind, and they can now have an attraction towards the male. When such people now, when one of two of them I know got married, it was difficult to respond to their husbands. It took fights, and I must really fight to do that. So it's also important that we delivered from that, if you like to call it, it's a kind of vow, so they will need to denounce it and get to believe that God created their bodies for the opposite sex, and so they can eventually enjoy it. So that was actually our major discussion last time, and a few questions were also asked, which we tried to. But then we now said today we will conclude by looking at what is it that can make us want to go outside of the covenant relationship to have an affair. That's what it's called. I don't know whether it's Dunlop that uses it for that one. They used to say, put the Dunlop as if, it's very nice for people who have an affair. An affair means when you're... Can somebody help me? What does it mean?
To have an affair. To have a sexual relationship with
somebody
that is not your wife
or your husband. Okay, so that's the thing. So this last bit of the video actually is talking about being affair-proof. How can a husband and wife ensure through their lifetime to infidelity? They don't commit adultery. That's what it is for married people. You don't cheat on your spouse. Because from scriptures and from records of scriptures, we know that men have fallen in this area. From our own day-to-day experiences within our communities and our churches, we know that there are so many people who have been cheating on their spouses. It's no longer like it's something new. But for a child of God, and for a man and his wife, for those who really want to please God and fully enjoy sex, all right, as God has given to us, then we must discuss in practical terms how we can avoid this ugly, I call it ugly because it can destroy a relationship faster than many other factors. Yes, Rina, will you want to read the first, read the number one? How can we protect our marriage? Read that first introduction and then we discuss the first one.
None of us is exempt from being attracted to other people. One, build each other up. Most common cause of affairs is a failure to meet each other's emotional needs.
All right, let's stop there. Do we really agree with this fact that none of us, even the most spiritual giant, can say, I will not be attracted to another, The opposite sex. Even David says so.
Even the Bible says, don't he that thinketh
He stands.
should take heed.
Lest he fall. Right. So that is the truth. I remember one of our discussions here. One lady said she was so angry one day they were driving. The husband was driving and they were going down. And the husband saw a lady and said, that lady is pretty. And their children were in the car. So the lady was angry. I said, why should the husband be saying that the lady saw out there while driving? The wife said, no, that's not correct, that's not good, that's not Christian. So that comment may mean that's not true. But then what the lady was saying, why do you have to say so? Maybe what do you say about that?
It's human.
It's human.
It's human.
Yeah.
We need to admire each other.
Yeah.
Naturally, it's human.
Comments?
Personally,
If somebody begins to admire another lady, meet this one and say, oh, that lady is fine, pretty, how will you feel? Let's just say
If she's pretty, she's pretty.
if she's pretty, she's pretty. Mm-hmm. So objectively, you can take that comment,
Yes.
as not meaning that he now has somebody maturity. Yes.
most time, I think I've asked such experience, but I wait for my wife to say it before I say it.
I like that. Okay. All right. Any other comments on that?
I think, well, the thing is, I know I'm beautiful.
Yeah.
I know I'm beautiful. But to him, But there are prettier people. Oh, you see them. Even me as a lady, I say, oh, that lady is pretty. Yes. But the thing is, you are walking. Do you have to be looking and be looking? That is where the problem is. You look at the person once and move ahead. You don't have to now, whatever is making you to look more, that is where the trouble is. Which we too should be very careful with. Let's face facts. Even there are more handsome men than my husband.
Oh, sure.
Sure. Sometimes you look, but you tell yourself, I've looked, that's all. You move ahead. You don't have to spend more time looking at that person and then imagining things inside. That is where we will now fall into temptation. Like the Bible said, when Jesus said, it is not you committing the fornication with the person per se, but in your mind. Many times we fail, and which is what we ought to guard against, so that we don't fall, into that kind of trouble. And that is something we need to really help ourselves daily, and don't allow yourself to be distracted.
All right.
Well, and this majorly concerns men. Women may see their, counterparts beautiful. They may not make comments.
It may not even mean so much.
It may not even mean so much to them, but for men. And then the man that is, making reference to it before the wife, if it generates any issue, it must have been that maybe there are some problems or trust issues.
Mistrust somewhere
between them. So, Mommy said the spiritual aspect of it should not be ignored. We must be ready to discipline ourselves at all times.
Can we have the second one, Rina? Read the second one. Set boundaries. The first one is that we should build each other. That is, we should aim at meeting each other's needs. Actually, most people who have problems in these areas, you find that it's either they have a problem. If you see a pastor abusing people in church sometimes, on the pulpit, if you look very well, you must have had a problem. A colleague of ours is late now. He has been giving that as testimony. He was a counselor. He was with the Baptist Church, maybe you remember. He said that, he had a rough night one time after he had gone preaching for a whole week and came back, and the wife refused to sleep with him. He got him so angry that he slapped one of their sons for pouring water on the rock, and he broke the boy's tympanic membrane. Blood came out. And he lived with that guilt for a very long time because it was transferred aggression. So if you probably listen to him in another sermon that morning, you see that he's not a happy man. It's important that we make sure that we try to meet each other's need so that there won't be this kind of transferred aggression. And I think we will still come to that. So that's what we mean by meeting each other's needs, right? Okay, 2.
2. Set boundaries.
Yes.
1. Infidelity starts and stops sex. 3. Can't help being attracted, but we can decide whether or not to entertain some thoughts. 4. Physical adultery usually precedes by emotional adultery.
Alright, let's just stop there. I want to show the video. So I think it's quite clear, but I want us to emphasize it's not just as once you see a woman, you bounce on a woman who is not your wife, or you bounce on a man. Something must have been going on, starting from your mind. Like we said, if you have intimate discussion with a colleague, or someone you meet somewhere. There was one we'll get to that. You see, when a lady began to have emails to a man he admired, not just the men alone. We know that men physically, eyes are our problem. What we see affects us so much. I remember some students of the university in the US asked late Billy Graham. He said, "Look, you must tell us. We'll see these things every day in the campus. How will we avoid thinking about them?" And the answer that Billy said is that you can't avoid birds flying over your head, but you can stop them from hatching or building a nest. That was exactly what he said. There are rules a Christian must make for himself. If I go to I used to tell my wife sometimes that there was one lady when we were in the villa, I said I should visit her, and when I'm coming, I shouldn't come with my wife. If you are in my shoes, what will run through your mind? I mean, as ordinarily, as a man. He said she wants to really, entertain me, cook for me, and so on. It's all right, fine. So you know that already something is beginning to beg. So if I carry my leg and go there, now who find problem? I mean.
Add concussion.
Eh?
You will add concussion. After eating it, you say no.
So you cannot say to yourself, "Oh, I'm strong. I'm a spiritual man. I will speak in tongues while I'm going there. I will pray and fast." Then you do like David, who went up to his palace and then saw Bathsheba bathing. And all he need to do, as soon as he saw the lady, he said, "Look, go and get. That one has power as a king. Go and fetch her." That's what happens to so many of these political leaders, if you don't know. If they go to a place and they bring guests to entertain them, they'll just fix their eyes on one. And they'll ask whoever is in charge of that program to bring one of those guests to their hotel room. That's all. And for them, it's normal. It's normal. So I think we need to learn these things, set boundaries. The pastor will set it for you. All right? Another Christian will not set it for you. It is you who know yourself and how your body carries you and how your emotions, how you can tidy them up. I remember sharing in several places. There was a man in our fellowship sometime. He said, "This song that, oh somebody, tell him that you love him," that he doesn't like it. I said, "What is wrong with it?" He said, "Well, because when they do it and once a girl holds him, he ejaculates." For me to hear that, I was like, this must be a medical condition. I mean, think of it. So if once you hold a girl or a girl holds you, then your body is in a kind of state. So I said to him, "Well, you don't condemn the song and the activity, but make a rule for yourself. Now when they say hold somebody, don't try to hold. If anybody is even throwing, show them that you are Sharia compliant." Set a rule. All of us are different. I hope we need to agree. Yeah, all of us are different. Why many Christians fall is that you want to do like brother A. Paul said, look, because you saw somebody eat something that was sacrificed to an idol, you don't know his faith. He has seen that there is no idol there. He prays and eats it, but you are afraid. Once they tell you that this meat was sacrificed to idol, you say, let me try. But you will double mine. You eat it, till will start purging you immediately. And the next thing you are in hospital. But as other people ate it, Christians, and they are free. So please, don't let us do things because others are doing it. Or somebody came out and gave a testimony, of how he can do this and nothing will happen. He can, whether something not the flow for our body. Because I counseled some students in GS3 so many years. What was the problem? They were always staying at the staircase to touch